Welcome to Millennium Daytime Bulletin. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you're watching Millennium News Channel 24. Today I'm bringing you the latest updates from around the world. Let's begin with today's top headlines. Assad flees as Syria rebels capture Damascus. South Korea president survives impeachment but party will seek his resignation. Syrian rebels claim to take control of Dara, birthplace of 2011 uprising, inching closer to Damascus. Deaths of 13 children in Mexico may be linked to 4-bag contamination, authorities say. Trump calls for immediate ceasefire in Ukraine after meeting Zelensky. Mexico makes record fentanyl bust days after Trump tariff threats. In France, 3 men charged over suspected bomb plot. Mixed signals in global markets as Nasdaq shines amidst regional declines. World Chess Championship 2024, Gukesh takes lead in 11th game as Ding Liren blunders. NBA to host pre-season games in Macau 5 years after league was effectively blocked from China. Now let's look at the details. The long rule of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad is over. After rebels swept into the capital Damascus, the fighters declared the city liberated in a statement carried on by the state television. Syrians have been celebrating in the streets. Russia, one of the Assad's main allies, says it has left Syria and gave instruction to transfer power peacefully. His exact whereabouts are unknown. Syria's Prime Minister said in a recorded message that the government stands ready to cooperate with any leadership the people chooses. He has been seen in a video being escorted by rebels. The rebels, who are led by Islamists, have said minorities will be protected. One US official told Millennium that events in Syria mark the collapse of Iran's artifice across the Middle East. The toppling of Iran-backed Assad follows the dissemination of key Tehran proxies, Hezbollah and Hamas, in conflict with Israel over the past 14 months. Russia's state media reports that ousted Syrian President Assad in the Moscow has been granted asylum after Russia's foreign ministry said earlier that he stepped down and left the country. Syrian opposition fighters say al-Assad's 21 years rule has come to an end after they seized the capital Damascus. A curfew has been declared in Damascus after people took to the streets there and elsewhere to celebrate the downfall of al-Assad governments. Prime Minister Netanyahu says Israeli forces have seized a buffer zone in the occupied Golan Heights following the opposition takeover in Syria. Israel has also carried out dozens of airstrikes across Syria. The dramatic turn of events come after opposition forces seized several strategic cities in a lightning offensive action in Syria, which could take place on Monday, December 9. Russian authorities have said it is necessary to resume negotiations on a statement in Syria under UN supervision. Russia has urged all parties to manage the peaceful transition of power using political means. During al-Assad's rule, Syria was Russia's strongest ally in the Middle East. Al-Assad allowed Russia to have a naval base in Tartus and an air base in Hamima in Latakia in exchange of Russia's political and military support. Moscow allegedly used the base in Tartus to transfer its mercenaries to Africa's Sudan, Mali and Central African Republic. According to statement by Foreign Ministry, militants Personnel and Russian bases in Syria are on high alert, but there is no serious threat to their safety and there is no panic at the bases either. South Korea's President Yoon Suk Yeol survived an impeachment vote Saturday over his brief declaration of martial law, but his party says they will seek his resignation. In another day of high drama, Yoon avoided being ousted from office after members of his party left parliament and boycotted the vote. Just to remind, inside while the one governing lawmakers who returned voted against the motion. Outside the main hall, opposition lawmakers could be heard shouting, "Go inside the chamber," and calling them coward. As large cowards inside the and outside the National Assembly demanded the president's ousting, President Yoon has been facing intense pressure to the stand down as leader. After his shock bid to declare martial law in South Korea, the failed attempt, which was been the first time in 4 decades that the law was enacted, sparked fierce backlash. Opposition lawmakers have submitted another motion on Wednesday, December 11, the next available date they can vote on Yoon's impeachment. Despite largely coming together to scupper Yoon's impeachment, the governing PPP, of which the president is member, insist he must quit. PPP leaders Han Dong-hoon said his party will continue to push for president's orderly resignation in order to minimize confusion. An opposition lawmaker, Kim Jong-hyun of the Rebuilding Korea Party, said there was no way the president could last until the end of his term. The sooner that he resigns or impeached, the better for our country. Yoon earlier apologized to the nation Saturday in his first public comments since his abortive attempt to impose martial law threw the country into political chaos and led to calls for his impeachment. This emergency martial law declaration stemmed from my desperation as the ultimate responsible party for the state affairs. Yoon said in a 2-minute address, "I am deeply sorry and sincerely apologize to the citizens who have been greatly shocked." Yoon said, acknowledging that he caused anxiety and inconvenience to the South Korean citizens. Yoon said he will not avoid the legal and political responsibility related to this martial declaration. The furor began late Tuesday night when Yoon declared martial law in an unannounced television address, accusing the main opposition party of sympathizing with North Korea and of anti-state activities. He cited a motion by Democratic Party, which has a majority in parliament, to impeach top prosecutors and reject a government budget proposal. Yet within just 6 hours, the leader was forced to back down. After lawmakers forced their way past soldiers to the parliament to unanimously strike down the decree, addressing rumors on Saturday that martial law will be invoked again, Yoon said there will absolutely be no second attempt at constitutional amendment. Syrian opposition forces claim to have taken control of Dara city in southwestern Syria, inching closer to Damascus. Rebel factions representing the Druze sect in Dara's neighboring city of Suwaida also launched an offensive against Syrian regime forces there. Syria army said it is redeploying outside of the 2 southern cities after terrorist attack military checkpoints. Our forces operating in Dara and Suwaida implemented a deployment, repositioning and established a strong and cohesive defensive and security cordon in that direction. The regime's military said in a statement, the rebels are battling Syrian President Bashar al-Assad forces from 2 directions, the south and the north. In an attempt to close in Damascus, Dara is where the Syrian uprising started in 2011. The southern factions are different from factions in the north led by the Islamic rebel group Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, HTS, who have already taken two major cities during their offensive that started over a week ago. Still, those groups aim for the same goal, which is toppling Assad. The Islamist-led rebels and Syrians rejoiced at the sudden end of the 13-year-old civil war, saying that it marked the end of a dark age, and strolled through Assad's presidential palaces, taking away items, furniture, ornaments, and photographs in different rooms. The HTS group began its lightning offensive 2 weeks ago, capturing the key cities of Aleppo, Homs, and Hama before proceeding to Damascus unopposed and seizing control of the Syrian capital on Sunday. Government forces loyal to Assad were forced to retreat as rebels captured control of the key cities one by one in the move that challenged the Assad family's nearly 6 decades of autocratic rule. Mexican authorities are investigating the death of 13 children suspected to be linked to contaminated bags of intravenous nutrition in 4 hospitals in central Mexico. Children were younger, say Mexico officials. They suspect they died from an infection of multi-drug resistant bacteria Klebsiella oxytoca. The death took place in 3 public medical centers and 1 private clinic in the state of Mexico, according to reports. This outbreak is preliminarily linked to intravenous parenteral nutritional solutions or the supply used for the application that could be contaminated, the statements read. In total, authorities said that there are identified 20 possible cases of Klebsiella oxytoca, with 15 being confirmed, 4 marked as probable, and 1 being ruled out. 7 other students and currently hospitalized under control, according to the States of Mexico Secretary of Health. Health authorities have since issued a nationwide epidemiological alert and ordered the suspension of the use and administration of intravenous solutions from the medical devices company Productos Hospitalosa. US President-elect Donald Trump on Sunday called for an immediate ceasefire in Ukraine shortly after a meeting in Paris with French and Ukrainian leaders, claiming Kyiv would like to make deal to end more than 1,000 days war. In a post on this Truth social platform, Trump came and claimed the Moscow and Kyiv have both lost hundreds of thousands of soldiers in a war that has never started. They started, and the immediate ceasefire and negotiations should begin. Too many lives are being lost, families destroyed, he said. Called on Vladimir Putin to act to bring the fighting to an end. Trump's remark come after a meeting Saturday with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron that Zelensky later described as constructive. Speaking to reporters later that day, Zelensky insisted that any peace deal should be just for Ukrainians so that Russia and Putin on any other aggressors will not have the opportunity to return. In a separate social media update Sunday, Zelensky asserted that Kyiv has so far lost 43,000 soldiers since Moscow's all-out invasion on February 24, while a further 370,000 have been wounded. Russia and Ukraine have been reluctant to publish the official data. Ukrainians have meant record losses for both sides, with tens of thousands killed and wounded each month. In an exclusive interview with Donald Trump on NBC's Meet the Press on Sunday, the President-elect Donald Trump, NBC News' Kristen Welker told Ukraine will possibly receive less military aid once he takes the office. We are in $350 billion and Europe is $400 billion. Why isn't Europe the same as us? Trump told Welker of support that he has gone to Ukraine since the war began in February 2022. Mexican authorities have announced what they say is the largest fentanyl burst in the country's history, with over tons of synthetic opioid seized in 2 raids in the cartel-ridden northern state of Sinaloa. It is the largest seizure of fentanyl pills that were ever being made. Mexican's President Claudia Sheinbaum said Thursday morning during her daily conference, adding that amount seized surpassed 20 million doses. Think about it. The consumption of a person addicted to fentanyl over the course of a year is like a packet of sugar. They think about a ton of fentanyl. We are talking about more than 20 million doses and close to 8 billion Mexican pesos, the president said. The raids come days after US President-elect Donald Trump promised massive hikes in tariffs on goods from Mexico on the first day of his administration, a move he claims to be in retaliation for illegal immigrations and crime and drugs coming across the border. This tariff will remain in effect until such time as drugs, in particular fentanyl and all illegal alien, stops this invasion of a country. Trump posted on his Truth Social platform on November 25, Mexico's top official Omar said the historic bust was achieved in two raids spearheaded by the country's navy and that 2 men were arrested and several weapons seized. 3 men aged between 19 and 20 are thought to have become radicalized while watching extremist videos online. 3 young suspected Islamic extremists have been charged with terror offensive in France over an alleged bomb plot, prosecutors said on Sunday. The 3 men aged between 19 and 20 are thought to be radicalized and extremist by exchanging messages online, close sources from Millennium told us. Possible target of their alleged bomb plot was the mayor's office in the central city of Poitiers, one of the security sources said on conditions of anonymity. 2 of them have been charged with unauthorized manufacture of explosives and possessive explosive materials, while all 3 have been charged with terrorist conspiracy. The French anti-terror prosecutors office said they were arrested on Tuesday and Wednesday in southern city of Nimes and the western city of Nantes, the security sources said. France has been regularly targeted by jihadists inspired jihadist and Islamic State group or Al-Qaeda over the last decade, with authorities on a heightened state of alert because of the tensions caused by Israel's ongoing bombardment of Gaza. Now bringing you the latest updates from today's market trends. The US stock market showed a mixed bag of results today. While the Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 0.28%, shedding 123 points, the broader market indicators presented a more positive outlook. The S&P 500 rose by 0.25 and the Nasdaq led the pack with strong 0.81% gain, buoyed by robust tech sector performance. This suggests that investors are selectively optimistic, particularly in technology, despite broader market volatility. On the downside, VIX, often referred to as Fear Index, dropped by 5.69%, indicating a decrease in market uncertainty. This decline in the VIX reflects investors' confidence despite mixed performance in indices. In Canada, the S&P TSX Composite and the S&P TSX 60 posted modest gains, signaling stability in the northern markets. However, Latin America experienced a sharper downturn. Brazil's Bovespa index plummeted 1.5, possibly reacting to regional economic concerns or commodity price shifts. Similarly, Mexico's S&P BNB fell 0.9%, Chile's S&P declined 0.17%, rounding on a challenging day for the region. Global contrast trends are visible. While North America tech and some indices show resilience, the economic landscape in Latin America reflects investor caution. These mixed trends highlights the varying economic drivers shaping global sentiments as market continues to respond to evolving economic data. It's evident that investors' focus remain sharp on key sectors and regional dynamics. Keep an eye out on the incoming reports, particularly in tech commodities, which could sway market trends further. Let's dive into today's commodity market trends, which painted a mixed picture across energy, metals, and agriculture. In the energy sector, WTI crude oil edged lower by 0.04% to settle at $67.17 per barrel, while Brent crude oil also dipped slightly 0.8%, closing to $71. These minor declines come as investors weigh global demand uncertainty against tightening supply dynamics. Despite the movement, crude prices remain near the lower end of the 52 weeks ranges, highlighting the subdued demand outlook. On the other hand, natural gas buckled the trend, posting a gain of 0.98%, close to $3. Boosting demand for heating or supply adjustment in key markets also led to this result. Turning to metals, the precious metals market struggled today. Gold slipped by 0.18% to 2,600, while silver dipped to 0.3% decline. Precious metal tied to easing inflation concerns or a slight rebound in the dollar, which traditionally moves inversely to commodity markets. Finally, in agriculture, soybean recorded a modest gain of 0.110, closing at 9% dollar. The minor uptick reflects stable demand amid fluctuating crop supply expectations globally. Overall, today's market movement reflects ongoing investors' caution as they navigate a complex landscape of economic signals. While energy prices stabilizes, metals under pressure, and agriculture commodities showing resilience. It will be interesting to see how these trends evolve in the coming days. Stay tuned for further details on market drivers such as geopolitical developments, weather conditions, and currency fluctuations. We'll be right back after a short break. I'm Shweta Simar. Keep watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin.
Millennium TV, bridging communities worldwide. We broadcast diverse international content from Europe, Asia, Africa, and now right here in the USA. Watch us via Roku on your smart TV. Download the Millennium TV app from the App Store to stream our shows anywhere, anytime. Millennium TV.
Welcome back after the break. I'm Shweta Simar from New Delhi and you're watching Millennium Daytime Bulletin. With 3 more games to go in the 14-round classical format, the Indian lead 6-5 with the Indian match likely having taken a decisive turn in favor of 18-year-old Gukesh from India. Grandmaster Gukesh made a huge stride forward towards becoming the youngest ever world champion, defeating Ding Liren of China in the 11th game of the World Chess Championship in Singapore on Sunday. With just 3 games to come, Gukesh took the lead for the first time in the match, while scoreline now reading 6-5 in favor of Indian 18-year-old. History is now on Gukesh's side as no challenger in modern chess has ever scored a win after being tied 5-5 after the 10th match. For Liren, the only comforting thing could be the fact that he won 12th game in the last World Championship match against Ian Nomishia of Russia. The Indian started off with the knight move on the first turn and was surprised as Liren went for a reverse Boinini opening. The move was shocking as it looked like it was over the board decision rather than a planned one. After four moves, Gukesh has a lead or over the clock, which was never too easy for its opponent to recover in crunch games. However, everyone thought that the opening had gone seriously wrong for Liren. The Chinese had different ideas as he capitalized as on erroneous plan on Gukesh early middle game. Liren went on for completing his developments and missed out on a simple maneuver that would have probably given the defending champion slightly better prospects. Gukesh himself spent a lot of time in the middle games, but the nature of the position remained double-edged. As the clouds began to clear, Gukesh came up with a spectacular pawn service sacrifice on the queen side to give moving space to his rooks. Just as doubled from, Liren simply crashed and made the blunder in a blink. After game 1, I had to show mental resistance because obviously it wasn't a pleasant thing to lose the first game of the World Championship. But then I wanted to hit back. I've started to play good chess, said Gukesh during the press conference. The National Basketball Association (NBA) is taking a first step back into the huge Chinese market with two preseason games set to the season in Macau next October. 5 years from the league effectively blocked from China, Brooklyn Nets and the Phoenix Suns will play the preseason games on October 10 and 12 at the Venetian Arena next year until NBA flagship score will open in Macau. Bringing preseason games to Macau will showcase the excitement of the NBA to fans in one of the world's emerging hubs for sports. NBA Deputy Commissioner and COO Mark Tatum said in a press release that Nets and Suns feature an exciting mix of established and rising Suns, emerging fans, aspiring players and local community in Macau through these games and a variety of interactive events, youth development programs, and social impact initiatives. NBA team commands a huge following in China where basketball is widely popular. The league has not staged a game in the country since 2019 when a tweet in support of pre-democracy protesters in Hong Kong from the Houston Rockets, then the general manager Darryl, sparked a political firestorm. At the time, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver refused to punish to censor Morey, who is currently the Philadelphia's 76ers president of basketball operations, prompting ire from Beijing and leading the sports station of China's central broadcasters to stop showing the league's games for a year. Hong Kong was roiled by pro-democracy protests in 2019, which at times brought several hundreds of thousands of people onto the street to punish and push for democracy in the city. Like Macau, Hong Kong is considered a special administrative region of China, partly distinct from mainland. Beijing repeatedly accused Western democratic forces of working to fuel the popular Hong Kong protest and lashed out at any support for the movement, which died out in 2020 when the capital imposed a sweeping national security law on the city. That's all for now. Thank you for tuning in. Stay with us for more updates. Log in to stay updated with the latest news on our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Millennium News 24. Don't forget to check out our social YouTube channel, Millennium News 24. You can watch us on Android and iOS devices as well as on Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and all smart TV platforms. Enjoy entertainment and latest news with us. Download Millennium TV app, Millennium TV USA, and Android and Millennium News on Google. Thank you for being part of Millennium News 24.